Hi, Bob Saul from Lithofin. You'll have to excuse the echo in this room. Today what we're looking at is sealing a natural sandstone fireplace. So how we're going to approach this is I'm just going to put an impregnating sealer into this to give me some water and all repellency. It'll just mean the client will just be able to wipe it over a lot easier if they have any spillages, or when they're cleaning up when the wood burner's fitted. It'll just be easier to lift that dirt away, and if we have to do a slightly deeper clean on the hearth, say with something like power clean, it just won't sink into the stone. It'll sit up and it'll be more easily maintained. So the product we're going to actually use today is Lithofin Stain Stop W. As this is a very, very porous sandstone, I'm going to go water-based. And the W is generally for normally harder, denser stones or sandstones. It's fairly dense, but it will suck this product up. But I'm going to go water-based with this one. If you had a polished marble or a harder limestone fireplace, I would probably step to the MN stain stop, the solvent-based, because it won't suck up as quickly. It'll sit on top. This one's going to pretty much suck into this fireplace. So we've got our Stain Stop W. I've actually got just a small bucket, or you could use a paint tray to actually pour the product into. I've got a sponge, which I'm then going to dab, and I'm going to work in small sections to apply the product. I've got a pair of gloves. I've also got a couple of white towels. One of these towels I will be taking off any excess if it hasn't already sunk in. And the other one I'm just going to place underneath, just to protect when I'm doing these lips, just in case we get any drips. You don't ever want to have drips going on to the area below, because by the time you get down to there, you might find that those drips can show slightly. So if you've got old dust sheets or towels, just lay them underneath as you're working these top sections, and as we work down to the bottom, then we can saturate that hearth area. I'll run through the application and the removal of the excess, and then last of all we've got our care kit for fireplaces. We do a one for a polished, and we also do one for sort of a matte stone, but basically in there I can leave this with the client. We've got an easy clean, which is a day-to-day spray, which one will clean this fireplace up, but it'll also actually top up the impregnator, because as it works it just tops that up for you. And also in there we've got a little bit of power clean, and that means that the client, when an occasional deeper clean is required, we can just use that power clean, maybe a white pad, just to give it an occasional deep clean. Let's get on with the sealing. We'll get prepped up, and I'll just work in sections. I'm going to do the top, sort of the top, and then this mid-section, and then each individual leg, and then I'll finish on the hearth. But I'll just show you how we're applying it and removing it. Okay, so I've got my towels scattered around on the base of this fireplace. I've got a nice clean bucket, nice clean sponge. I've got my Stain Stop W, which I'm going to give it a bit of a shake. And what we're going to do is literally just going to do this top sill. Now, you may see some stains. This is a reclaimed sandstone. Literally it was found in a yard, so there is a little bit of deep staining. It has been cleaned up, and even the back section, when we do the hearth, you'll see it's slightly different stone because I think it's been pieced in, but we're just going to apply some of the product into a clean bucket. We've given it a shake. So literally now things to watch out for. So we've got a painted surface here. This walls have had one coat of paint. I would protect if you've got any metallized sort of trim or anything on fires, just protect those with a bit of tape, or try and keep the product away from any painted surface. This one is water-based, but we're just going to dab that sponge in, and we are going to start to wet out the fireplace. Okay, now although this is absorbing quite quickly, And again, we want to keep drips to a minimum. Just going to run that up the side. But literally, like any stone, when you're sealing it or impregnating it, the key to any sealing is to saturate the stone. So you can see I'm getting a few drips, but they're landing straight onto the tile, onto the towels. You can halve these sponges up if you want to, but literally I'm going to wet this out, and we'll get an even wet to it. And then I'm just going to keep going back over it. It's better to do it in sections, so top, so let's say mid-section, and then I'll do the legs individually, and then I'll do the half. But it's better just to wet these out. And once you've got them wet, obviously just watch those painted surfaces. Once we've got them wet, we're just going to keep soaking this. Now again, with any impregnator, the harder the stone, the longer we will leave it. So if it is a granite hearth you've got or anything like that, now don't worry about any foaming, because once we've had this sort of wetted out for maybe 8 to 10 minutes, I'm literally going to take one of those towels and rub it across this and literally buff this top fully dry. What I may do is actually I'm actually just going to half that sponge. Okay, so a little half sponge might be a little bit easier. Okay, so we can get these ends. Okay, so we'll keep this wet now. I'm literally going to do this top, and I'll keep that wet for 8 to 10 minutes, keep it moving every minute, and then what we'll do is I'll keep this going, we'll come back, and then I'll just be drying this off. Okay, so I've had this now wetting out. I've gone over the edges several times, 4 or 5 times. The product now is just sitting up a little bit, but we're just going back, and we're literally just finishing off this top. I don't ever want to do this in one hit, because the trouble is if you get areas that dry, you may see where your application marks. So I'd rather do this in sections. I always find it a little bit better and you get a nicer finish. So we'll just take the last of that up. And what we'll do is just take one of our white towels now. So saturate it and then remove it. And again, we're just going to put that white towel on. If you get any fluff from the white towel, don't panic, it will just brush off afterwards, but I always use white towels. And we're just taking that excess off. So you've got nothing that will irregularly sort of dry in on that under chamfer. And now literally we are touch dry. And I can now I'll go on to the next section and we'll work those stages with the legs. What I've had to do, where this was running so much, I have actually had to do this in one section. So I've now had that soaking for 10 minutes down the sides. I just take my white towel. You might be able to see I've got a little bit of excess around the bottom. I'm going to get straight onto it. So take your towel and we're just going to take off any of that excess. Most of this, 99% is sinking in, but I will always put the towel over it, just to ensure that we've got rid of all that excess. What we can do now is we'll move on to the half. I'll show you soaking that up because we've got some ungrouted joints there that we are pre-sealing before pointing or grouting. Okay, so we're on to the last section. We've got this half. You can see as it was running down, I did get a few splashes, but I've taken those straight back up. We're going to put the last of the W in, and I'm going to wet this half out, because like I said, we want to pre-seal it before we're actually going to point these ungrouted joints in. So again, exactly as we are, you can see this sucking up because this is where it would have been worn and we are literally just going to wet this out in these edges. I'm very fortunate I've got no carpets in here, or anything like that. So I don't have to protect. If you do, if you've got wood floors or carpets, anything like that, obviously you will have to protect those. Just sheet them up. We'll get onto this. Now what I'm also doing is I'm running it down the edge, taking it 45 degrees both ways, and that will run it down the edge. So when we grout it, we won't get a bleed from the grouting. But again, the main thing is wet it out completely, and then we'll spend the next 8 to 10 minutes just moving it, because you can see as it dries, it's drying quite quickly. You can see the application marks. But I'm actually going to just keep re-wetting it with the product and moving it around and letting this half absorb it. Again, don't worry about foaming, don't worry about bubbles. The little bits of white you might see down the edges are actually old paint, because this is a reclaimed, it's not a new Fireplace, it's a reclaimed one. Don't worry about those, we may be able to cover those when the guys will bind those edges, maybe silicone them or something there. But just keep going over it, and we'll come back and we'll just take this back off again, as we have done with each section of the fireplace. Okay, we've had this now soaking for 10 minutes. Let's take off the excess. So take your white towel, and we're literally just going to rub that across the face, because this is quite a coarse stone. It's going to grab it a little bit. Just get all those edges. Don't worry about any fluff, as I said. Now, with very porous limestones, sandstones in some cases, you might want to give this a second coat. I think this will probably be okay with one, but the guys are going to point that up, and then I will give it a second coat once that's pointed. But if you're fully installed and you're just refurbing, one saturation should be absolutely fine. But again, because we're doing the pointing, I will give it a second one, which will then include. But that second coat, because this will have a first one, it will be cured, it will pretty much repel that second coat. But yeah, let's just get these last bits. Okay, so the fireplace is fully sealed. Like I say, before the guys can point this, I would normally leave this minimum 24 hours. That's for it to cure up, so it's able to take a cement-based grout. So we've sealed with Stain Stop W. Like I say, if you've got a polished limestone or marble, you could use the MN, which gives you, I think, slightly greater protection on those polished finishes. Once this is all installed, like I say, I will give this a second coat when the guys have pointed. You've got your care kits, which are available. So this is the care kit Nat, and we've got a polished one. Again, they both contain the same product. So you've got your Easy Clean for day-to-day spraying over and just wiping over. And then the Power Clean in there for deep cleaning, which you can dilute up, use with a white pad or a soft brush if you get any sooting after the season's gone. If you get any sooting or marks from timber, you can just clean those away with an occasional clean. If you need any more information, do contact us via the website, or if you want to chat to us about your individual fireplace and sealing or maintaining it, do call us on 01962 732 126. That's our technical line. We'll be happy to run through any project you might have. Thanks very much for your time. Cheers.